The chains rattled against the floor, laboriously dragged by my 4 legs, which were barely dragging themselves in response to the electrical implants. Worn, torn muscles tortuously rippled under my fur, in tune with the electrical currents driving them, like a forest against a gale, overriding my own will. The cage was surrounded by hundreds of bidders, which appeared like dark spectres in the burning light. As they fought with pennies over my body, I simply lay there, resigned to the inevitable transfer of my will to yet another owner. On one side of my prison, where one of the lights had broken, stood a creature I had never seen before. Throughout many years of auctions and imprisonment, alongside countless other species, this was a form that I had not yet come across. It strangely only had fur on its top side, and only had 4 limbs, 2 of which it used to support itself versus my 4. It had a peculiar pair of eyes. Their gaze silenced the chaotic shouting and whirring of the bidders, and dimmed the lights above me to near blackness. For a moment, it seemed like this creature and I were the only 2 in existence. Its eyes fixated on me, like the tidally locked moons of my home, constantly shifting, then reorienting themselves to face me. The trance was broken when a torrent of pain flowed from my nerve endings, and my legs autonomously lifted my body. I reflexively jerked my head and just as quickly returned it to face the creature again, but it was gone. The next 7 years under my new owner were among the most miserable I had experienced in all my years of servitude. Constantly being moved from world to world, mine to mine, farm to farm, for reasons that were only discussed in the backroom dealings among my masters. Adjustments were made to my implants that led to harsher electrical currents and thus stronger and faster movements from my muscles, almost to the point of snapping my bones and tendons. But in the 7th year, as I was working in the pit mine, I saw my master's ship leave to orbit without me. After 4 days abandoned on that desolate world, I felt ready to transcend my worldly shackles and join my ancestors in the ancient lands from which I originated. But then another ship of a unique design arrived, and, like a dam, burst open with a flood of creatures like that I had seen 7 years earlier. As they tended to me, and the other prisoners trapped with me, I saw those same peculiar eyes, the way they frantically darted back and forth to scan for injuries, the way they foreshadowed the head movements of the creatures. It felt as if those eyes were portals into another universe unto itself, one that had abandoned the flaws in ours. Later, I learned that these creatures were humans. They had recently come into contact with our region of the galaxy, and sent delegates to each of the interstellar societies that inhabited it. That was the human I saw, a representative of humanity sent to learn our way of life. The humans say that the reason for the war was territorial or trade disputes, or for their security, or for some other standard reason, and they may believe it themselves. In actuality, it was those eyes. Eyes that exuded wisdom learned from centuries of injustice, hatred, and pain. When the human leaders discussed in their meetings, their words spoke of economics, politics, and navies, but their eyes did all the talking.